Hello everybody! Welcome to Toyah at Home and happy Toyah Day. Today, this is my husband Robert Fripp, in case anyone's wondering, but of course the whole world knows that. More importantly, Simon Darlow and I, when we wrote In the Court of the Crimson Queen, the first song we wrote for that album was Latex Messiah, which I'm going to perform this morning. And the reason my husband is here is...
I love Latex Messiah.
Robert loves Simon and I writing together, and he's always saying to Simon, more music, more music. You and my wife write the best songs ever. So what is it you like about Latex Messiah?
Oh, it just rocks, eh?
It's the beat, isn't it?
Yeah. It gets me on my feet dancing.
Oh, well, there'll be more of that tomorrow, hopefully, with our Sunday with Toyah and Robert. So anyway, thank you, gorgeous.
I love you, little wife.
I love you. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, Latex Messiah. Woo! Rock out! Yeah! Silly Billy being a naughty boy, gone and broken all your toys. He's a whore for television, bipolar supervision, cracked up in submission, bound and gagged the rubber vision. Pandemic, phony, and schizophrenic, epidemic, and they do it really, take it really, make it all just. Pandemic, phony, and schizophrenic, epidemic, and they do it really, take it really, make it all just break it. Thought you had a vision, a wet dream religion. It's an execution of the rebel in you. Viva la revolution, bring out the disillusion. They're an institution, you should have stayed in bed. I hear you into tantric sex, you found it all through pink latex, made all the rags hardcore, stripped and filleted and looking sore. Pandemic, polyanic, schizophrenic, epidemic, can they do it really, take it really, make it all just. Pandemic, polyanic, schizophrenic, epidemic, can they do it really, take it really, make it all just break it. Thought you had a vision, a wet dream religion. It's an execution of the rebel in you. Viva la revolution, bring out the disillusion. They're an institution, you should have stayed in bed. So there you are, looking so pretty and pink, and I say to you, is that legal? Pandemic, polyanic, schizophrenic, epidemic, can they do it really, take it really, make it all just break it. Thought you had a vision, a wet dream religion. It's an execution of the rebel in you. Viva la revolution, bring out the disillusion. It's an institution, you should have stayed in bed. Viva la rebel in you. 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 Yeah. Viva la rebel in you. Viva la rebel in you. Yeah, that was fantastic. classic Latex Messiah of In the Court of the Crimson Queen, written with my best friend Simon Darlow. So it's so good to see you all. It's September. The world is virtually getting back, well, whatever that means these days. I hope you're all safe. I hope you're all happy with whatever your life work situation is. I'm thinking of you. I can't wait to get out there. Provisionally, I have a playback gig booked in Nuneaton for Halloween, and I am so excited. But more importantly, you have all been sending in fantastic questions. And Richard Featherstone from, now it's Australia. It's the Gold Coast, Australia. And Simona, I believe from Italy, have asked about the artwork in the house. Well, we're very keen art collectors, and I'm an amateur artist myself. I do art as a form of keeping myself focused and keeping my sanity clear, because I think when you get stressed by things, it's just better to pick up your paints and put the energy into that if you can. So the first artwork I want to show you is my washing hanging on the line. I think that for every woman is a work of art. And the other piece of artwork I want to show you is we keep silver balls everywhere because I adore reflection. And I don't mean reflection as looking at myself in the mirror. No, not at all. I think I love the reflection of life. So all our trees have silver balls on. So you ask about the artwork. Now, I know I can show these because they're album covers. So the story behind this one by our beautiful friend, Francesca Sanderson, who was married to Bill Rieflin. I bought this to be the cover of Strange Tales, Toyah and the Humans. And within a few months of me buying it, it appeared on the artwork, the poster artwork of King Crimson. And I reminded Robert, I said, Robert, I bought that for the humans. And he said, there's nothing you can do about it. So we may look like lovebirds, but we're permanently at war. This, again, Francesca Sanderson, when we flooded in 2007, I remember it well because I was filming Diary of a Call Girl with Billy Piper in London, and I had to leave London as quickly as possible or I was going to be flooded out of my home, and I was playing Alnwick Castle up north. So I knew if I didn't leave London, I would not make the gig and I would not be able to secure our home. So during the flood, I walked into the water, and this is halfway down our garden, and the water was up to my waist and it was freezing. So I sent a photograph to Frankie and she did this painting, and then she did this other one as the waters receded. So that's Francesca, also known as Frankie. The first painting I ever commissioned of her was of Bunny. And what I love about her work is it's slightly off-center. You think you're looking at normality, but you're not. This is called Esther, and Robert does own that. And the one there is by PJ Crook, who lives in Cheltenham. She does Robert's album covers. PJ Cook, The Four Seasons. And Bill, very kindly, when Frankie passed away, gifted us these hands by Frankie. So we absolutely adore them. And because their passing is still so fresh in our heads, we just haven't really touched them. They're going to stay there. You've got album covers up here of King Crimson, I believe. I'm not very tall, so forgive me. Album covers. One of my favourite artists, who I actually knew in her lifetime, was Elizabeth Frink. This is a print by Elizabeth, and I ask now for permission to show it to you because I want to promote her work. So this is an Elizabeth Frink Green Man, signed by her. She signed it in front of me. Wonderful, wonderful woman. And this other piece of work is my artwork is... Where am I looking? Where am I looking? Oh, yes, look, it's my husband. He's a piece of artwork. Oh, that's by me. That was done for a charity. Why have you got your mask on in the house?
Because I've just come in through the front door. My wife has pounced on me.
Okay, Cry Me a River. So I did these for the charity Calm, protecting men against suicide. So... Shall
I tell my story?
Yes.
I love these so much. I bought them, I bid for them, and had to fight off all the other bidders to acquire these for myself because I love my wife's artwork so much.
Oh, you're so wonderful. Thank you. That's gorgeous. And I'd like to say to anyone out there, if you want to commission me, I am a naive artist. I mean, that's my work. It's naive. Very, very bold lines, very bold colours. So I'm in no way as brilliant as PJ Crook, who painted this of me playing the 1800 artist Rolinda Sharples. And this is a guerrilla documentary where we stormed into the basement of the Bristol Art Museum, where Rolinda's artwork was stored, to ask the curator at the time, why was her work not restored and not exhibited when her money went towards building the Bristol Suspension Bridge and building the West Academy Art School. So she was wiped from history, and after PJ, Lee Cox, Hazel and I made this documentary, we got Rolinda exhibiting not only in the Bristol Art Museum but also in the National Portrait Gallery, where there's a picture of her with her mother. And because Rolinda was a very social butterfly, she'd take the ship over to New York, paint the European dignitaries as they arrived around 1810. She died 1832 of breast cancer, but she was known as a bit of a flibberty jib because she was so social. But that doesn't mean her art was not good. Her art was amazing, and she had these incredibly conceptual pieces with hundreds of characters in that men copied, and they never credited her. She was a very wonderful woman. And PJ also did this painting of me playing Puck, Regent's Park, Midsummer Night's Dream, and there is a photo of me as Rolinda Sharples. Now, Jackie and Susan, you have asked, what do we name our dinosaurs? Well, I rather like Fred and Ginger. Robert, what do you think?
Oh, that's easy. It's Sweet Lips and Kissy Monster.
Oh, I love that. I'm Sweet Lips. Are you Kissy Monster?
By default.
And any idea what you'd like to call the unicorns?
Yes, they already are named.
Yes?
Willip and Fripcox.
Willip and
Fripcox.
Fripcox. I like that. And I suppose Bunny is Willy Fred 3.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Or even Willy Fred the Tiny.
Yes, Willy Fred the miniature. So there you go. Thank you, Robert. That is so lovely. So the unicorns are permanently in our hallway to bemuse everyone that comes here, from the postman to friends to the Amazon delivery person. Now, I've had some fantastic questions this week, and I'm going to put the camera down because you may be getting seasick by now, but I'm going to go outside. Now, something happened this week that I'm still kind of laughing about. I went to the local hospital for a procedure that was booked in March, which had to be cancelled, and that was to have mole removal. So I phoned my agent, and it's on my face, and I phoned my agent. I said, look, this is going to take about 7 days to recover from. Am I needed? Am I needed on camera? No, go and have it done. Go and have it done. So I've rather massively covered it there, and here I've just got this kind of gash, this graze. Literally an hour later, with my face out here, my agent phones and says, I've just heard from the biggest casting director in Hollywood. Are you available in 3 days' time? So, nothing's come of it yet. This happens all the time. Availabilities are checked all the time. But I just thought, out of all the time in the whole year, I thought I could get this procedure done, and then I get the call from Hollywood. I'm still going to go if they ask me. So Jackie Perry and Jean Stobart, thank you so much for getting Robert to name the dinosaurs and the unicorns. That's fantastic. Now, Alicia Garner, I think I got that right. What is my favourite period in history? This book is incredible. This is an academic book on Boudicca, and bearing in mind, we can't really prove Boudicca other than the burn line that is deep below the ground when she supposedly existed and destroyed Colchester and East London. But I've studied this
for so many years. Firstly, I was due to play Boudicca in 1981, but that film didn't get off the ground. And then in the past 3 years, there is another film lined up in which I'm far too old to play Boudicca, but I'm playing a character within the film. Excuse me. So I'm very, very much still involved with that. And of course, this was my winning subject when I won Mastermind 2 years ago. So I'm very fond of Boudicca. Now, my jewellery, this, made by Sean Chapman, which is plastic, it's very, very light, is based on Celtic Iceni wirework. And I know that it's very, very similar to African neck jewellery. And I've been terribly concerned about this because I'm so passionately into the period of the Celts and all the tribes of, what are we talking about? I think about 60 BC, that I want to say that my connection is more with the British brutal female-run Iceni than it is, you know, me nicking an idea from Africa. So please forgive me if that has offended anyone, because it's just certainly not intended. But again, it's this whole thing of the coil work. In Boudicca's time, you had coil pots, you had coil jewellery, because it was just the easiest way to smelt down metal and use it, and to use pottery. So thank you very much for that question. So, Julia Wheeler, you asked, do I have any fond memories of filming the Ebony Tower? So this is the John Fowles book. It was translated, well, not translated, it was put into a film script by John Mortimer. That is me. That's me. I'm aged about 25. Really, such a wonderful memory. Laurence Olivier, Greta Sacchi, Roger Rees and I had 3 months in the Dordogne making this fabulous John Fowles movie for Granada TV. Such a happy time. I'd come straight out of Trafford Tansey. So this was a big kind of breathing space for me, because Trafford Tansey was a play about a female wrestler. I'd finished recording with the band Love Is the Law, and the first single off Love Is the Law was Rebel Run, and that was about to come out while we were filming the Ebony Tower. But apart from working with these absolutely fabulous actors, one of the most endearing memories as I have is Annie Nightingale, the Radio 1 DJ, hired a prop plane, took 4 people, flew me, Annie, out to Lyon in France to meet up with Sting and the police, where she wanted to interview Sting and myself. And I mean, the expense of this, we had this tiny prop plane. We met Sting at Lyon Stadium, where I sat on his bass rig for the show, which was just breathtaking. I was made so welcome by the whole band. Then Sting, Annie and I had to run off stage, run through the underground corridors of Lyon Stadium, where a taxi was waiting for us to take us to the radio station in Lyon. They couldn't fit us all in the car, so I had to sit on Sting's knee on the front seat. And I remember, of course, he was really hot and sweaty, and it was absolutely fabulous. But I remember that the taxi driver, because there were so many of us, there was about five of us in the taxi. There was Trudy, there was Annie, my boyfriend at the time, Sting, me. And the taxi driver put the air conditioning on. And Sting said, no air conditioning, because that wrecks your voice. And he was on this massive stadium tour. So we were all taken to the radio station. We did the interview, and I can't remember what it was about. It might have been about Quadrophenia, but it was wonderful. And Sting was so generous. You know, he allowed me time to talk. It was a very beautiful shared time. And then we all got back in the taxi, and we were driven over the border. I mean, it took hours. I think we ended up in Switzerland, where we were in this castle that the police had hired for the night. It was their hotel for the night, but there was a lot of partying going on in the bar, and I was filming the next day in the Dordogne, so I went to bed, and I was in a barn at the side of the castle, and I was very, very tired, and I knew I had to be up at 6 in the morning to be on set by 9 o'clock in the Dordogne, again, flying in the prop plane. And that night I had one of the worst dreams of my life, and it was of 3 witches who had been their heads had been separated from their body, but they still worked as one. And they were just in the room with me, cursing and setting fire to everything. It was absolutely terrifying. So I woke at about 5 a.m. and I woke Annie and I said, Annie, can we go now? Can we just get out of here? And the pilot was staying in the same place as us. So we left early, and wow, deeply disturbed by that, deeply disturbed. But the whole memory of the Ebony Tower was just magical. I mean, even to get out to the Dordogne, because Laurence Olivier was so fragile, we had a private jet. On which no one told us there was no loo. So we drank about 6 bottles of champagne. And when Greta, Roger, Lord Olivier and I arrived at Nice airport, we were just bustling for the loo. And I remember we just kind of ran past security going, toilet, toilet, toilet. Mad times, mad times. That's probably the one and only time I have touched and seen that level of wealth. It was breathtaking, breathtaking. And let's not forget the acting, which I absolutely adored. I was acting opposite Laurence Olivier. Every minute of that shoot was utterly magical, magical. And he never gave tips. He would often talk about who he worked with, but he never gave me acting tips. And if anything, I used to just have to make sure he could see my mouth and he could hear me clearly. But, you know, that was it. He trusted us as actors. He was a phenomenally kind and wonderful man to be with. Now, I have a question from Chris Phibbs. Do I have any special memories of making Blue Marigold Tales of the Unexpected? So this is the scarf my character wore. My endearing memory is I got the role without having to audition. It was offered to me directly, which happened a lot back then. And then people discovered that I am literally the size of a miniature poodle. I am so small. And I was working with Ralph Bates, wonderful actor who was tall, very handsome, huge fan following. He was playing my love interest, but of course I was tiny, so they had to put me on these huge heels. And it was set in the 60s about a model who loses her looks due to an accident. And I had this huge hair. The hair was almost as tall as I was, very bouffanted, wonderful costumes. We shot it in Norwich, and it was just as the recording of Anthem started. So the band was sending me songs that they'd written in the studio without me being there. And this was the new lineup. It was Nigel Glockler, Adrian Lee, Phil Spalding, Joel and me, with Nick Tauber producing. And they were sending me these wonderful backing tracks, which I learnt while making Blue Marigold. And then once I got home 2 weeks later, I started the lyrics. And the way that happened is I'd write the lyric in the morning and be recording it in the Marquee Studios by 2 in the afternoon. So there was a lot of pressure on me. I was doing phenomenally well, but this was my world speeding up. And of the Blue Marigold, I remember I had to drive a car, and at that time I hadn't learnt to drive, and it was a period gear car. It was very flash, very model-like, and very 60s. And I also just had to do so much kind of really painful, dramatic work about this woman who was scarred for life, who would never be, she felt, would never be loved again. It was very fulfilling and deeply wonderful to be working on this play. And Ralph Bates was gorgeous. I remember the sets. For the first time, I wasn't on a film set. I was in an actual house. And that was interesting because of the spacing. When you're on a film set, everything is quite far away from you and you feel quite isolated. You don't feel the camera near you. But this was the beginning of cameras being within actual rooms. So they're right there. Very, very strange feeling. And we did a few scenes in a studio in Norwich, which I can't remember everything about, but those probably would have been the scenes where I was already badly scarred and we needed the prosthetics and we needed the huge makeup rooms to make all that happen. But again, very, very fond memories. And Chris, thank you so much for that question. It reminds me of 1981, which was like the foot going down on the accelerator and never coming off. And I was traveling at 100 miles an hour for the whole year. It was glorious, really happy year of my life. John Hamilton, you and Hazel both auditioned for Breaking Glass and Kate Bush. We were all in the room at the same time. Was there ever rivalry between you both? And if you had got the job, do you think your music would have taken a different direction? Okay, there was definitely rivalry during the audition. Absolutely, because that's what auditions are. And I was absolutely fascinated to be sitting in a room with Kate Bush for about an hour while Hazel was being auditioned. And we were both looking through the glass. There was a glass partition so we could see Hazel. And I could see Hazel really selling her music. You know, she wasn't just there as an actress, she was selling Hazel O'Connor's music. And I was thinking, what can I do? What can I do? And firstly, I was dressed from head to toe in yellow, completely covered up, which is what I did in those days. And perhaps I should have been a little bit more revealing. Kate was just Kate, very quiet, very natural, completely non-invasive. I mean, she didn't say a word the whole time. And I didn't really know her then. It was an interesting audition. If I got the job, do you know, I don't think I was right for the job. Would my music have taken a different direction? Perhaps It's a Mystery would have happened sooner, but I think it would have been a weirder film. I just don't think I was right for it. They chose the right person. Is it true Kate Bush auditioned? Well, she was there. I wasn't around when she went into the room because I went in after Hazel and then I left the building. But who knows? I mean, my goodness, what if Kate got it? It just would have been such a different film because Hazel, Kate and I, utterly different creatures, even though the critics couldn't believe that back then, because critics, all they could do back then was compare women to other women. And I think, thankfully, that doesn't happen. I was compared more to Kate Bush at the time than to Hazel. Neither three of us had anything artistically in common other than our gender. But, you know, that's what the world was back then. Looking forward to seeing us in Manchester. Boy, Hazel and I, we're looking forward to getting to Manchester. Can't wait. So, John, thank you for that question. Stuart Coe, you ask a wonderful question, and it's something I often think about, but don't take that seriously at the moment. Would I consider doing an updated autobiography? Well, it is about time, and so much has happened in the last 20 years since my last autobiography. I don't like revisiting my childhood. I really only feel that I became me once I left home, and if I've got to revisit childhood, I would probably just take it from Living Out Loud, which was the last book. Even when journalists ask me questions about it, I can't enthuse about it. For me, what I enthuse about is the creative process. My childhood was everything I didn't want in life. I just should have been at drama school. I should have been studying art. I should not have been studying the 3 R's. So that would be like pulling my own teeth out, revisiting that for a book. But yes, I think one is due. A lot has happened. A lot of great things have happened. I think in the last... Well, since about 2002, I've really forged a great life as a musician and a great life as an actress. And even though the roles I do in movies are small, I treasure them. I treasure them so much. Obviously, in Give Them Wings, I've got a main character. But the last 18 years have had great autonomy for me as an artist, and it would be good to write about that because I feel I can gift to my audience and gift to the world how wonderful and how privileged it is to grow older and stay in the workplace and I feel I can really offer something through that, because I've become my own person in the last 18 years. So thank you for that. Also, Stuart, you ask, would I ever do a narrative-based musical project? I just don't know. I just don't know. I absolutely adored the Queen movie, Bohemian Rhapsody, and I think Elton John's movie was groundbreaking. It's my favourite of all musical movies. Stage musical is a different thing. I loved the one the Kinks did. I thought it was breathtaking. It would have to be on that level, something raw, energetic, not romantic. You see, there's certain areas of jeopardy you have to fit into these commercial projects that I don't believe in. Jeopardy isn't always there. Heartbreak isn't always there. Tragedy isn't always there. And do people want something of pure joy? Well, yeah, but the money people will ask you to put the tragedy in. So I know I've got it in me and I know I can do it, but it's not something that fires my soul at this present moment in time. You know what might change it? Is if Robert wanted to write something with me, because we're both so completely off the wall and we don't go into the world of cliche that often, that I think we would both be the right way in tune to do it. But it ain't going to happen until he retires from touring. But let's see. Let's see what happens. So we're going to finish on questions about Minx, the album. But firstly, I want to show you this dress I'm wearing. This is a dress that I've had for quite a while. And because I've lost so much weight in lockdown, I can actually get into it. I bought it for a tour about 3 years ago. But I've donated it to a dress sale that the singer Beverly Craven is going to be announcing soon, where a load of very famous singers have donated clothes. So this is going to be auctioned. So that Beverly will announce that when she's ready. But I've noticed that I've had to safety pin the shoulder, so I apologise if you can see the safety pin. I'm all safety pins. So we're going to finish today on questions about Minx. And Mark Goodman, I want to say a big thank you to you, because you sent in a question that I have not had. I've not had support in this area for about 35 years, possibly 40 years. You say in 1972, when you first heard on Top of the Pops Alice Cooper perform School's Out, it changed your life. It changed mine too, because I was so unhappy at school, and this song came out relatively around the same time as T-Rex, and Mark Bolan affected my life tremendously, and Bowie. And it gave me such bravado, because I went to a very strict school. I was very unhappy. And this song, I have loved it all my life. And I put it on Minx. And I still love this song, but my real die-hard Toyah fans loathe it. And it's a song that I wanted to do live on stage, and I wanted to have big kind of crucifixes swaying, and you know, it's a song that just brought me to life. So Mark, thank you so much. I hope I've explained why I chose it. I chose it because it was one of those songs that gave me hope about the future. And I adore Alice Cooper. I really wish I'd get to work with him one day. Russell Vaughan, you ask, you say Minx is a very 80s album. Well, there's nothing wrong about that. The 80s is great. And I think this is very 80s in all the right ways. It's an absolutely stunning album. It's taken me a long time to revisit it. I tend not to look into the past that much until I'm asked. I remember working with Simon Darlow, of course, writing Don't Fall in Love. There is also Now I'll Serve You Well, which we really should have made a video to, because it's about a dominatrix or being dominated. But Christopher Neal, who produced this just before he went on to work with Cher and Celine Dion, he was very much the master of the studio. And what I mean by that is he built the tracks and I came in and sang. I didn't do all the BVs the way I had done on previous albums. He brought in backing vocalists who were great fun to work with. He brought in other writers for me to write with. So songs, Soldiers of Fortune, which I wrote with Adrian Lee, who I also did Thunder in the Mountains with. Don't Fall in Love, Simon Darlow, of course. Now, Sympathy, phenomenal song. Now, I didn't write that. Let's see if I can remind myself who wrote it. But we're going to go out today on America for Beginners. And the relevance today of those lyrics is so powerful. So here we go. I'm just looking for Soul Passing Through Soul, wrote with St. James, lovely, lovely man. His first name isn't there. Okay, Sympathy. Graham Stansfield, David Cassanetti, Steve Gold, Mark Ashton. I mean, what a phenomenal song. Absolutely breathtaking. If it came out today, if Adele released it today, wow, it would be huge. America for Beginners, Stephen Skaith, Michael Jones. They wrote that one. So what I'm saying really is that Christopher Neal chose songs for the album, and I was invited to write, but he would only let songs onto the album that he felt were right. It was part of the Portrait label, which was Maury Oberstein of CBS's Big Dream, to sign the greatest female singers of all time. He was about to sign Blondie, Pat Benatar. He signed Alison Moyet. It didn't really take off as a label, the Portrait label, because it had distribution problems. So the dream was bigger than the reality. But I still think Minx is a great album. It sold more across the world than any other album I've released other than Prostitute. I think in Israel it just went straight to the top of the charts. So it brought me new audiences, which was fantastic. So I have fond memories of it, but I don't go back to it that often, which, as you can see, I'm a little bit vague about it. So we're going to finish on today, America for Beginners, produced by my friend, Dutch Roll. Now, Dutch and I have been working a lot in lockdown, and he did his version of Sensational, and this is his video interpretation of America for Beginners. I did the vocal in my office onto iPhone about 2 months ago, and the video is quite extraordinary, and I love his production on it. So we're going out with America for Beginners. Please send your questions in. Remember, we've got Agony Aunts tonight, Toyah and Robert's Agony Aunts, and tomorrow we have our Sunday lunch. So look after yourselves, stay safe. It's been fantastic doing this for you, and God bless. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.
America for beginners. That's America for beginners. That's America for beginners. Everywhere the stripes and stars, men in dark suits and unmarked cars, sipping Jack Daniels and third world bars. We're close to the edge, as close as we can get, as close as we can get.